Hey everybody, welcome back. I stopped and I picked up after work today at this little market that I like to go to. I like this market because the lady there tastes everything before she buys it. So if you buy it from her, you know it's good. So I bought this big giant tomato, and especially in the South, when you have a big tomato like this, what do you have to have? White bread, a little mayo, salt and pepper, and you've got a fantastic tomato sandwich. Has to be a good tomato though. This one is. I can't smell. Misunderstood can smell, and she said it smells wonderful. And so I'm going to show you how I make the perfect loaf bread. I've been baking bread for a couple years now. This is my first bread video other than bagels. This is my first regular kind of bread. I do sourdoughs, I do regular breads, I do rolls, I do all kinds of things. But this is just regular old plain loaf bread for good sandwiches. Let's go. One of the things about me is I don't drink clear tap water. I distill my water. I don't cook with tap water. I cook with distilled water. I distill my own water. Some of it we run through a Brita pitcher, but that's totally optional. It's more of a handy thing to keep a pitcher on the counter, but you want to use good water, whether it's spring water or distilled water or reverse osmosis. You just don't want all the chemicals and the extra stuff that you're not aware of when you use tap water. So what I'm going to start out with is 300 grams. I always do grams because it's very precise and it's easy to calculate. So I'm going to start out with 300 grams of water, and I'm going to put this in the microwave, dead on 300 grams, and I'm going to heat this up to about 110 to 115. Now, you really don't want to go as high as 115 because that will kill your yeast if you get a little over that. But if you start a little bit hot, by the time you start mixing everything, the sugar and everything in there, then you will end up down at the 110, 105 to 110 range, which is perfect for the yeast. So I'm going to put this in the microwave and I'm going to get it up to temperature, and then we'll go to the next step. While the water's warming up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my flour measured out. So this is 500 grams of flour. 200 grams of flour is about a cup. So 500 should be about 2.5 cups. But I like to measure it, and while good flour, unenriched, unbleached, I won't use bleached, enriched. I won't even eat it if I have a choice. Only time I eat that stuff is when I'm out and I'm on the road and I don't have a choice. Otherwise, I would rather go hungry than put some of that stuff in my body. So unbleached, unenriched, all-purpose flour. You can use bread flour if you like, but all-purpose is fine for this. And it's all pre-sifted nowadays. You don't have to worry about that, but I like to run it through here because it just fluffs it up a little bit. So I've got my scale set, and I'm just gonna add 500 grams of all-purpose flour. And we'll save a little bit off to the side. 502 is fine. Next, I'm going to go ahead and weigh my salt. This is a pink ancient Himalayan salt. This, or a good, like a Baja Gold or a good sea salt. But typically I will do 2% of salt for the amount of flour. So in this case, this is 500 grams of flour. That means I would typically use about 10 grams of salt. I put a little extra salt in this to give it a little more flavor. So that's 12 grams of salt, and I can just go ahead and toss that right in. That's all the salt I'll need. And aside for dusting and stuff like that, which I keep a separate container, and when I get done, I scrape and I put it through this, and I keep that flour for dusting and working it on the counter. If I have to tell you to wash your hands and clean your counter first, you should probably start somewhere else, because I expect you to kind of know that already. So I've got a packet of yeast. I usually buy big packets of yeast, but this last one it doesn't seem to be working great, so I just stopped and got some of these. This is a 7-gram pack of yeast. That's fine. That's a little more than a teaspoon or so of sugar. You don't have to be exact on the yeast and the sugar. You just want to make sure you have enough. You can get too much, but it's a lot easier to get not enough than it is to get too much. So I'm going to take my flour and my salt. You don't want the yeast to hit the salt directly, so I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. Now let's get the yeast water going. You will notice when I cook that I don't measure things a lot. I cook with my eyes, I cook with my heart. When it comes to baking, measurements are key. So if you don't have an instant read thermometer, a handy trick that I've found is when you heat your water up, again, hands are clean, stick your finger in there and spin it around. Ooh, that's a little bit hot. I had to pull my finger out. So if it feels about the same temperature as your hand, it's not hot enough. If it feels a little bit hotter than your hand, there you go, 123. That's a little bit too warm, but it's not too warm to go ahead and dissolve the sugar in. So we want to dissolve the sugar before we put the yeast in. And this is where I was saying running a little bit high temperature can be okay because it's going to cool down pretty rapidly as it sits out here, the kitchen in here. It's hot in the summer, but fortunately, Misunderstood has kept the air conditioner running today, so it's only about 72 in here. And now that it's sugar water, I'll go ahead and check the temp again. And you can see now that's down to 118. So I'm going to let it sit for just a minute, and then I'm going to add the yeast. While we're waiting on this to cool a little bit, let's talk about hydration. Hydration is how much water to flour you use. In this case, this was 500 grams of flour and 300 grams of water. For round numbers sake, let's just double those and say 1,600. Well, 1,000 grams of flour and 600 grams of water is a 60% hydration. So most everything I make is somewhere between 60 and 75% hydration. Sourdoughs tend to be a little higher. Regular breads like these tend to go a little lower. So this is, if I were making 2 loaves, I would use 1,600. That would be 60% hydration. But now that we've talked a little bit, (113 degrees), that's perfect. We're fine. So we can go ahead and add in the yeast. And all we're gonna do is just add it in. Like I said, a little too much is not a problem. If you don't have a packet, you can kind of do it by eye. You just cover the top of the water pretty well and get it mixed in. And what you want to do is give it a minute, just a couple minutes, and it will start to bloom. You'll start to see some foam on top of the water. That tells you that everything is working and like it should. This is the little container I was talking about where I use this for dusting and treating the pan and everything. So I've got that ready, and I'll go ahead and rinse these off. While we're waiting on this to bloom, let me show you this. While I was in the store today, I asked if they had any fresh watermelon or cantaloupe, and she pointed me to these watermelons. And you know how watermelon can be. Sometimes it's fantastic, sometimes it's not so good, but you can't really tell. I've heard that the bigger the yellow spot, the better it is. I haven't proven that to be true. I haven't proven it to be untrue either, but my point is, the lady that I buy this from, the market that I buy this from, I asked her, I said, how is your watermelon? Have you tried it? She said, I've got one cut open right here. You want to taste it? I said, absolutely, because I love watermelon if it's good, but if it's not good and you have to put salt on it or, whatever to make it taste better, then it's not good. Man, was this good. I didn't really want this big of a watermelon because it's just the two of us. And while we're out on the boat, man, when it's hot out there, 4th of July weekend, I took big Ziploc bags full of this on the boat. And man, when you got hot and you had a cold beverage, some cold, good watermelon, golly, it's so good. So I can't wait to cut into this thing and take some to work because it's a great snack at work. I took the camera down and I kind of zoomed in a little bit, because as this gets going, you can see it's active. It starts changing color. It starts to foam up a little bit. And what are you laughing about? You put videos of dogs up all day. I actually do stuff.
But you're
I'm showing them yeast blooming.
Growing.
I'm watching yeast bloom. You ever put a video up of anything else blooming?
No thanks.
Oh.
But I have to correct you on that salt with the watermelon. No matter how good a watermelon is, salt is good on a watermelon.
All right, I'm gonna have to pause this because I gotta smack her around a little bit.
Oh my God.
All right, I can see that it's working, so that's enough. You really can't tell, but there's a foam starting to build. It hasn't like bubbled up. Anyway, I'm gonna put the camera back up, or I'm gonna video you if you don't leave me alone. Bye. So I'm gonna use this big spatula and we'll go ahead and get the yeast in there, the yeast water. And then I'm gonna use the back end of the spatula. We're getting to the point that people refer to as shaggy dough. I don't know where that ever came from. Toby, please. So I do this with the back side of my knuckles because they don't seem to stick quite as bad as if I mash it with my fingers. I think it's because I leave my fingers down there too long or something. But we'll go ahead and scrape the bowl. We'll go ahead and... Seriously? So the first step you want to do is to get this mixed in good. You don't want to see... There's no storm, honey. It's cloudy? There's clouds every day, baby. So you don't want to see dry flour. At some point, I'm just going to take it out, turn it out onto the counter. And I'll take, whenever I run into sticky parts, I'll take that and stick that flour to it. And you don't want this to be kneaded too much, just because the more you knead it, the more it builds the gluten bonds, and that makes it chewier, that makes it stronger, it makes it stick together more. And for sourdough with a good tough chewy crust, we like that, but nobody wants to fight to bite in a sandwich. So this being a 60% hydration, it's not gonna be super sticky. It's not sticking to my hands real bad. And you don't get to sneak in here that way.
Be quiet.
Tell him to be quiet.
Toby says be quiet.
They can't hear me. So it's starting to pull together. You can see that it kind of breaks apart when I pull it. So it needs a little more work. It needs a little more work. Start putting it into a circle here. What this does, not only does it make you a nice little ball of dough, what this does is not only does it make you a nice little tight ball of dough, but it also seals the bottom. When you knead it and you do this to it, and then you try and make a ball, you end up with that kind of stuff, and you don't want that. You want it to be stuck together real well. So this, dragging it around in a circular fashion, you get a nice little ball of dough, and it's pretty well sealed at the bottom. Now I'm gonna put this back in the same bowl, and I'm gonna let it rise until it's double. This could be 20 minutes, it could be an hour and a half. It depends on temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, how much your wife is fussing at you. If you keep stopping me, I'm never gonna get to make this bread. But you basically just wanna go by look. You want it to double in size the first time, and then we'll shape it and make some bread. Now I'm gonna dust the bottom of this a little bit. Just to keep it from sticking so bad when I pull it out. And I'm going to cover it with my Greek towel. It looks very Greek. And that's good because I'm a Greek. So I'm gonna cover this, I'm gonna put it in the pantry because it's warmer in there, so it'll rise faster. Okay, so couple things. It's about doubled in size. You can see how it flattens out. That tells me that it's still loose. It's not super tight yet, which is what I want with a loaf bread. And then this is my extra flour. So I'm gonna take my ring off, don't tell her. And you have to have a bench scraper. If you don't have, I've got a couple of these. If you don't have a bench scraper, get one. They're super cheap, very, very handy. You can even find them at the dollar store sometimes. But I like this one because it's flexible, so it allows me to get in and pull the dough out without too much trouble. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna get some flour and I'm gonna dust my work surface a little bit. Because if you don't, it'll stick, and you don't want it to stick, but you don't want too much either. There we go. Now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna hold this up against me and just kind of pry it out from the edges. That was great. That actually went a lot better than I expected. So now I'll take it, get some flour on my shirt, dust it off a little bit. I'm gonna knead it just a little bit because it needs a little bit of kneading. Just maybe a minute or two. You don't wanna go 5 or 10 minutes with this, but you can feel it start to resist, and you can also feel it starting to get a little sticky. And that's kind of where you wanna go. It's starting to resist me a little bit. It's not spreading out as easy. And now I'm gonna take it, form it into a ball. I'm gonna set it right here, and I'm gonna move the flour out of the way. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the pan that I'm gonna cook it in, my loaf pan, and because I don't want it sticking to the edges, there's some things you can do. You can like butter or grease the pan and put flour on there, but it always seems to stick, and you're sitting there when it's over with trying to dig it out, and I just don't like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use parchment paper. But if you just take the parchment paper and stuff it all down in here, it kind of wants to do that, and it's kind of hard to work with. So here's a trick. Take your parchment paper, wad it up, turn it around and wet it in your sink. Just run some water over it, pull it out, get it wet all around, shake it out. Now, this stuff will do whatever you want it to, and it hasn't lost the benefits of using parchment paper. Now you see how it tucks in there nicely, right? I can fold these parts in. Now I still got to cover this a little bit. So I've got another piece that about half that'll work. So I'll just tear it. Well, that didn't tear quite right. And whether I That one tore a little bit, doesn't matter. I'm gonna put it down in here. Whether I wet this or not, it's really not that important because this just kind of covers the blank areas. This is a rather small area, so I'm just gonna do that one. Now I can let it rise for its second and final rise right in here, and I don't have anything to worry about. The parchment paper will come right off. So I'm gonna dry my hands, and then I'm gonna dry my counter off too, because that is workspace that needs to be dry or else it'll stick. And I'm gonna take the dough, and you can see I need to tighten it up just a little bit here. Sometimes if your dough is a little too floury, it won't want to stick to itself like this. So here's what I do. I've got my good water in a little squirt bottle, and I'll take this and I'll just wet that just a little bit. And then work it just a little. Sometimes you can just spray it and pinch it, but you see what I'm talking about. It just kind of makes it stick again. Just takes a little spritz of water. Now, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna roll it over. And I'm just gonna kind of work it out till it's even pretty well all the way across. You see how you've got this right here? I can pinch that. And again, if it doesn't want to pinch, I'll just give it a tiny little spritz of water. But usually it'll pinch together and stick. The main thing is I want it to be uniform. A little bit of that kind of stuff on the bottom is fine because it's literally going to be the bottom, and it's not split, it's not open, so it's okay. So you want it, see how it pulls back together? That means that the gluten is forming properly and it pulls back up. You can put your finger in it and it bounces back. That's about where you want it. If you put your finger in it and it stays down, it needs to form a little more gluten. So now I can just take it get it in my pan that I'm gonna cook it in, and then make sure that it's pretty well uniform side to side. This is gonna need to sit for an hour or two. So if you have something else to do, like baking a blueberry pie, you can work on that. Meanwhile, I'm going to cover this with my Greek towel. It's a very Greek towel, it's very nice, just for you. And I'm going to put back in the pantry, because the pantry is nice warm. Maybe I have a proof setting. Oh, okay, none of that. If you have a proof setting on your oven, you can put it in there. Or maybe you have a big toaster oven like I do that has a proof setting that runs at about 100 degrees. That helps it proof faster. So if you have that, use it. If not, and you don't have a good spot, put it in your oven, turn the light on. And that will raise the temperature in there a little bit so it's warmer than it is in your house, like right now when it's so hot outside that the air conditioner is running. And you want to cover it just loosely. And I think I am going to put this in the oven on proof because it's almost 7:30 at night, and I want to finish this before I go to bed. So I'm going to put this in the oven to proof, and we'll come back in a few or a couple hours. Now, one last quick thing. I'm gonna take my bench scraper. I've got a little bit of water still on here. And I'm going to kind of scrape this down, make sure I get all the dough off of it. It's easier to clean that way. And then I'm just going to scrape this off through my little sieve here, and you'll see what I'm talking about, why I put it through here. And you see, you get those little pebbles out of there. Toss them in the trash. You've got usable flour if you want to use it. While we're waiting on that to double, misunderstood.
Blooming. I thought it was supposed to bloom. Okay then.
You're the blooming one. She hit me up and said,
And I didn't post just dogs all day.
"What did you post? What did you do all day?"
Dogs.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We had fun.
She asked me if I would make her a blueberry pie. They're from Georgia, so that's not bad, but I'm gonna take these blueberries and I am about to start working on a blueberry pie. But that's a video that is not in this video. It's for a different day. It's raining outside. He was right. It's literally pouring right now. Hey, will you go roll my windows up?
No.
So I'm just gonna wash these while we're waiting on that to rise, and I'm gonna start making a video about making pie crust. And I'm gonna use that pie crust not only for this blueberry pie, but for sausage rolls this weekend. God, those things are good. Well, wouldn't you know it, Toby was right. He started howling, he's a hound dog, and now, just a few minutes later, look at what we have. Big downpour. So, and the wind's blowing across the lake. It's crazy because I didn't think this was gonna happen. Toby did. I guess good on you, buddy. It's about 9 o'clock and this has been rising for a couple hours. It's almost ready, but it's not quite ready. But after I do this next part, I need to let it sit for another 10 to 20 minutes. And I've got a pie in the oven, that blueberry pie I was talking about, that has 22 minutes or so, maybe 30 left. So I'm going to remove my gray cloth from the bread. It's very good for you. I'm gonna remove this and you can see how well it's growing. I ideally would like it to be up in here, so it needs to grow some more. But I'm gonna take my courgette, which is just a razor blade on a stick, and I'm gonna slice down the middle. What this is gonna do is it's gonna let it expand this way when I put it in the oven, and it also gives it a cool look. It makes it look very cool when you know, better when you do it. Sometimes you do like this if it's a French bread or a long loaf, but in this case this is just to make it split at the top. So I'm going to take my courgette and I'm going to slice it right down here. You want to keep it at an angle and you want it to get in there good, but you don't want to press down on the bread, on the dough, because you will deflate some of the bubbles that are in there and that defeats everything. So I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna cover it back up. I'm gonna put it back in the pantry for 20, 30 minutes or so until the pie is done. And then I'm gonna put it in the oven. And man, I gotta get to bed, man. It's tired and I'm late, or reverse that. I gotta go to work in the morning, but I need bread to eat. This is my blueberry pie. Maybe could have used 1 or 2 more minutes, but dang, tell me that ain't beautiful. Now it's time to put the bread in the oven. Let me show you what it looks like. Ideally, I would like for this to have risen for another half hour, 45 minutes. But I just don't have the time. It's after 10 o'clock and I gotta go to bed. I gotta get to work in the morning. But this is what it looks like now. So I'm gonna put this in the oven at 375 for 20 minutes. And then I'm gonna put some foil over the top to stop it from cooking on the top so it doesn't get burned. And then let it cook for a little bit. Then I'm gonna lower the temperature, remove the foil, and let it cook for a little more. Remember, when you open your oven, you're gonna lose at least 10 degrees. So don't open your oven if you don't have to. If you're looking, you ain't cooking. Look at here. What a beautiful loaf of bread. Time to cut some for a sandwich.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's a beautiful loaf of bread.
Yes, good job.
After a day or so, you want to toast it lightly because it doesn't have all the chemicals that it does in a grocery store.
Homemade mayo and some big, beautiful tomatoes. Here we go. Look at this.
So
oh my goodness.
This is about the only time I use table salt. I don't use table salt when I'm cooking at all.
So, I think I like mine different from yours, but Captain, I'm gonna go ahead and stick yours in the toaster. And it's a little thin still. He made homemade mayo. That's gonna be another video.
It's linked.
But it is kind of thin, but that's okay. We're eating it healthy.
It's fresh. Can't get any better. Simple, tasty.
It is very tasty. It's really good. It has olive oil in it, so it's very tasty. I like a lot of mayo with a tomato sandwich, so I'm going to add some more. It's probably going to drip all over the place, but that's okay.
Well, you ought to put it on the other bread. That's what I want. That's how I want mine. Oh, good idea. That's how I want mine is bread, mayo on both sides. I don't eat much mayo, but when you need mayo, you need mayo.
Yes. And then, beautiful. Love this.
Big
Look at there.
fat
Look at
Pillars.
that. Look how perfect you made the bread. The texture, everything is just perfect. And then, I know, y'all don't fuss at me, but I like a lot of salt when I have a tomato sandwich. Some pepper. Oh, I was going to give you a bite of mine until I got it ready.
I'll always take a bite of yours, honey.
I'm thinking I might want 2 tomatoes on there now. As thick as this. Oh, yours is ready. Okay. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. That looks so, so good.
Mm-hmm.
How is it?
Mm-hmm. That's so good. Oh, my goodness.
Eat healthy or die.
Eat healthy and die anyway. But at least you'll enjoy it.
Yes. Well, this is very healthy.
Fresh and single ingredient.
He puts his end piece back up here to keep it fresh. I didn't know that. I learned that earlier. So that's cool. Alrighty. Captain, good job.
Thank you. Let's take a bite of yours. I'm not going to show you eating it.
Alrighty. Here we go.
Isn't that good? She don't have any makeup on, so I'm not going to show her face. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you watching all this far. If anything in here helped you, please subscribe, comment. We respond. Swallow your food so you can reply.
Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.